ओके, तो डॉकर का क्विक 2 मिनट रिकैप कर लेते हैं जो था। ओके,
हाँ जी।
तो टेक्नोलॉजी वाइज इट लुक्स लाइक सिमिलर टू ए वीएम काइंड ऑफ थिंग। ओके, आइसोलेटेड, जैसे वीएम्स में हमारा क्या होता है, कंप्लीटली आइसोलेटेड ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम, पूरा इन्वायरमेंट ही आइसोलेटेड होता है, एवरीथिंग, यूजर, कर्नल, एवरीथिंग। ओके,
हम्म। हाँ।
और इसमें क्या है, कंटेनर्स वाले में, इसमें फुल फ्लैज ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम वगैरह नहीं है, जस्ट प्योरली एप्लीकेशन है। ओके, सो वट एवर ऐप यू आर डूइंग, only
हम्म।
that will run, only that container will have only the dependent things relevant to the app. Okay, so if the app is dependent on some 10 or 20 files, or maybe some library or something, some software, it will be only having that, that's it, no extra things, nothing. Okay,
हम्म।
so it is not a full-fledged OS, but the look and feel ऐसा ही लगता है, मतलब it is, they are separate kind of thing, VM जैसे. Okay.
ओके।
Okay, so that is the high level like comparison to that, but it is purely application. Okay. और इनमें इसके मेन कंपोनेंट्स ये हैं, एक डॉकर होस्ट है जहाँ पे हमारे कंटेनर चलेंगे, और कंटेनर्स वगैरह जो भी हैं एक होस्ट ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम के ऊपर रहेगा। उनका जैसे
हम्म।
हमने हमारे मशीन में ओरेकल कौन सा ये वर्चुअल बॉक्स वगैरह इंस्टॉल किया है, तो सिमिलरली वैसा ही एक ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम के ऊपर ये डॉकर डीमन चलेगा। ओके, जो भी डॉकर इंस्टॉल कर सकते हैं, विंडोज के लिए भी है और लिनक्स वगैरह मैक सब के लिए है ये, तो
हम्म।
उसके ऊपर देन वी क्रिएट द कंटेनर्स। ओके,
राइट।
और तो दिस इज कॉल्ड द डॉकर होस्ट और द सर्वर। ओके, वेयर वी कनेक्ट यूजिंग द डॉकर CLI कमांड्स, लाइक
हम्म।
डॉकर पुल, डॉकर जो भी हम कमांड्स है, डॉकर रन वगैरह जो चलाएंगे, तो इट विल कनेक्ट टू दैट होस्ट एंड इट विल connect, like it will query or anything with the REST API. It will talk to the this using the API. Okay, और रजिस्ट्री वो जगह है जहाँ पे हमारे इमेजेस स्टोर्ड रहते हैं। जब हम देखेंगे अभी, एक तो मार्केट प्लेस है pub.docker.com, वहां से। ओके, वो एक ग्लोबल मार्केट प्लेस है इमेजेस का, मतलब जो भी आपने सपोज करो कुछ इमेज बनाया, कुछ
हम्म।
एप्लीकेशन का कंटेनराइज किया, दैट यू वांट टू शेयर विद द होल वर्ल्ड, एनीबॉडी यू वांट टू गिव इट फॉर देम टू प्ले और टेस्ट इट, सो यू कैन अपलोड इट टू द डॉकर हब। डॉकर हब में अकाउंट बना के एनीबॉडी कैन डू दैट। सो यू
हम्म।
कैन अपलोड योर योर इमेज। तो वैसा ही this is a Docker registry where it goes. Okay. So this is not like a shared folder or anything. It is very specific purpose for it to only store the Docker images. Okay, you can have it in the private also, your own within the organization. जैसे हमारा AWS में Elastic Container Registry है, और Azure में हमारा ACR है, Azure Container Registry. So similarly, so these are kind of private instances. So within your network, it will be there. You don't have to use hub.docker.com. Okay, so because that will be public, anybody can look at your image. Okay, so this is the place where we store the images.
हम्म।
और images में क्या है, जो images में जब हमारे यहाँ पे कंटेनर इंस्टेंशिएट, कंटेनर स्टार्ट होते हैं और चलते हैं, so whatever dependent things or how the container will run, all those information or the instruction will be there in that image. Okay, तो जैसे हमारे वो टेप में गाने सुनते थे, तो उस टेप में जो भी मतलब है ऑलरेडी, वट एवर इज ईच्ड आउट, सो दैट सॉन्ग ओनली यू विल लिसन।
हम्म।
ओके, सो सिमिलरली वैसा ही कॉन्सेप्ट है इसमें, जो इमेज में इंस्ट्रक्शंस हैं that will instantiate and it will run that container. Okay,
या।
so these are the main components of that Docker, nothing not much complex mainly. Okay, or Docker client, Docker registry. So these are some of the keywords: Docker registry, Docker server, Docker hub, जो भी हम दे रहे हैं, मतलब इंटरव्यू पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से भी, मतलब these are the keywords where they want to listen. Okay,
हम्म।
और कौन गया? तो हमने क्या किया था लास्ट क्लास में, थोड़े हमने we created our, we downloaded some images. Okay, we can do
या।
it on both on Windows or Linux. The command will be exactly same, because the command you are talking to the Docker. Okay,
हम्म।
not talking to the operating system. So इस डायग्राम में जैसे देखोगे तो ये, हाँ, तो ये वाला क्या है, मतलब your client, wherever the client where you're running the commands. Okay, so that you are not interacting with the host OS. Okay, so host OS can be anything, Mac,
हम्म।
Linux, Windows. but you are interacting actually with the Docker daemon. So this Docker daemon. Okay, so that's why the command are exactly the same, even if the host is Windows or Linux. Okay, so we don't. Okay, so let's see. Only thing difference is the installation. The initial first one-time installation step for the Docker will be different for Windows and Linux. Okay. And in actual enterprises, it will be mostly like 99.9%. It will be on the Linux and all. It will be there. Okay. Okay. अभी चेक करने के लिए कुछ कंटेनर चल रहा है कि नहीं. Let's recap few of the couple of commands we did last time. Okay. Because Docker is all about command and all. In actual day to day, just you have to play around with around maybe 10 commands. That's it. Okay. Within that. Okay.
Docker PS.
Okay. Docker PS very good. Okay. So Docker PS, it will show whatever active containers are running. Okay. Not the images, the running containers. Okay. अभी आपको देखना है कि पुराने मैंने कब कोई कंटेनर चलाया था पहले हिस्ट्री में, तो उसका PS Docker PS -A. Okay, with all -A मतलब all container everything. So it will show everything whatever is there. Okay. Okay. Next है हमारे देखने के लिए क्या क्या images है.
Docker image.
Docker images. Okay, so it will show all the images whatever is there. It will show all the images. Okay. So yeah, and now to run a container. Okay, Docker run.
And then
Okay, and उसके बाद image का नाम, where is our image. Okay, so there is a demo like hello world. I think hello world is there. Okay, so when we run this image, so Docker run, it runs the container. Okay, and it this so the, this image does a very specific thing. It just gives a hello message. That's it. Okay, so this is the container. Now you see the container won't be existing. Okay, because it has done its job. It quickly executed this. The job is done. The app is started and finished. That's it. So Docker. So you won't see a running thing anymore. Okay. System and all. Okay, Docker run. Let's say Ubuntu. Docker PS if I do, I can't see the container running. Okay.
Yeah.
So क्या होता है कि वो container start होता है or immediately it finishes because there is nothing for it, no application, nothing is there. Okay. So but we can see that in the PS-A. Okay. Linux में ये है, this is not related to Docker command, but if I, because Docker PS-A will show hundreds of lines, so here I am seeing only the top 10 lines. Okay. So here we can see we executed this hello about a minute ago. Okay, but that image is sorry, the container is no longer there. Similarly for the Ubuntu also. So it went fine. Okay, it started, it finished immediately. Okay, so don't think that the container will keep on running. So the container, whatever is there in the image, whatever is given in the instruction is there in the image, only it follows that. And if nothing to be done, it will exit out. Okay, because it's not a full-fledged operating system. अभी हम कोई दूसरा वो चलाएंगे, मतलब कोई वेब सर्वर. ओके, वेब सर्वर क्या होता है, जैसे IIS होता है वेब सर्वर और अपाचे. ओके, सो what it does, it will keep on working in background. Okay, it is kind of a daemon or service. So it listens in the background and it will keep on running continuously. Okay. So web servers ऐसे it won't exit out. ऐसे web server start किया, it won't exit. It will keep on listening for the clients. Okay. So similarly हम Docker run कोई web server करते हैं, HTTPD. Okay, HTTPD is a very common Apache web server. अब यहाँ पे देखेंगे तो ये हमारा exit नहीं हो रहा. Okay, it got stuck. My console, my this prompt is not coming out. Okay. Now let me go to the other window. अभी मैं docker ps करता हूँ तो यहाँ पे दिखाता है मेरे को, okay, this
Hmm.
container is running, okay,
Hmm.
because container का image में for this it is created like that it shouldn't exit immediately, okay, because it is a service, it will continuously keep on listening on a
Hmm.
specific port, okay,
Hmm.
for that. So it is running continuously, okay.
Hmm.
अभी यहाँ पे देखोगे मेरा कर्सर मतलब बाहर नहीं आ रहा, आई कैनॉट डू एनीथिंग एक्चुअली, okay,
Hmm.
and to keep this container running I have to ensure this window is not closed, okay,
Yeah.
because if this window is closed then like I can't uh, connect, okay, to that. So
Hmm.
I think कोई control C या कुछ दब गया तो, so let's run it again, okay, it's listening. अभी I cannot come out, to come out I have to press control C, so control C करते ही that it will shutting down the हमारा कंटेनर जो है वो क्लोज हो जाता है,
Hmm.
okay. Now if we see docker ps, nothing is running, okay. Now we don't want that, because in the actual enterprise or server, so it should run in the background, whatever image, whatever container you are running, it should keep on running, okay. So what we will do, we will just add a minus d in that, okay, like my minus d is for the daemon mode, it will run in the background, okay. Now when we do this, so what it does, it gives us a long number which is the ID of that container, and and the prompt is back, okay. So I
Hmm.
can, so even if my session is now closed and all, still the container will be running in the background, okay. Now docker base, if I see, okay, this container is still running and it is listening to the port 80, okay. So this you got it right, you
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
to run the Docker in the
Being
background.
flexible.
So this will be the very frequent commands whenever you're doing Docker run. You like de facto you have to ensure the minus D is there, otherwise your prompt will get stuck there. Okay. So this is for the daemon mode.
Yeah.
Next is how to get the details of the container, because the container also look and feel like a VM only. So we can
Hmm.
even log into that. Okay, we can log in inside that container. Now
Hmm.
how to get details about that is Docker inspect.
Hmm.
So this is the next command which we will use it frequently. So
Yeah.
Docker inspect, you can give the either this whole number. Actually, this is the whole entire number. But in the Docker PS, it gives the first like few things and all.
Unique.
And even you don't have to give that. Just you can give first initial something, so it will come. Okay.
Hmm.
So in this, it will give all the details of the mm, of that container, and towards the end you will see the IP address of that. Okay, so
Yeah.
this is the IP address uh, of the container. Okay, which we can connect actually. So now this network is purely isolated. Okay, I cannot connect outside this VM. Okay, I am connected to to the Linux server 001. Now but I won't be working on that server, right? End users will be connecting from their office laptops and all from their own network, right? From their laptops. So they
Hmm.
won't be sitting on this server. Uh, so this starting the container in this way, a web server or anything is not that helpful. Okay, so
Hmm.
what we have to do is here the container is listening on port 80. Okay, so inside the container, whatever application is there, it is listening on port 80. So
Hmm.
what we will do, we will do a port mapping so that our host server, because whenever a end user is coming outside from server 001,
Hmm.
it will connect to server 001 to a specific port, and whatever traffic goes to that port should be redirected to port 80. Okay, so that is called the port mapping.
Hmm.
So now inside the VM, it might work that we can connect to that. Okay, so curl command is in Linux command. So Linux command, it says it works. Okay, but
Hmm.
the same thing. So curl is just kind of a browser, CLI level, command line level browser in Linux. Nothing to do with Docker and all. Okay. So, but the same thing if we do here, it won't work. Okay, because I am on a completely different system. I am not in server 001. Okay, this is my Windows machine. So from there I cannot reach, because this network is not reachable. It is only inside this VM.
Local machine.
Got
Yeah.
it? Yeah. So it is a private network inside that server 001 server. So now how to expose that port? So that is called port exposing. Okay, exposing that port, or we can say port mapping. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's see the running containers, and first let's stop it. So stopping a container, easy, Docker stop. Okay. So the container is stopped. Okay, no containers. Now while starting, what we will do? So Docker run image name is that -d for the background. Okay, now we will do -p is for port mapping. Okay,
Yeah.
so port mapping we will do 8080 port. Okay, from our this port is server 001 port, and
Yeah.
inside that is port 80. Okay, so how this you can picture make like is, so this is our server 001. Okay. So in each server or anything, there are ports. Okay, like for example, you are connecting to a Windows VM, so you ensure that your MSTSD port 3389 is there. Similarly, if it is web server something 443 or 80, so every application has a specific port. Okay, so now this is my Windows lab. So this is my Windows computer. This is server 001. Okay, and inside that uh, there is a isolated network of 172.17.01. So this is the isolated node 172.17.0.1. Okay, so this is our isolated network within server 00. So within server 001, if I'm connected, I can reach out to that. Okay, now my container is inside that. Okay, so the container is running on port number 80. Okay, on that IP. So what I will do now, so this port mapping, this line, what it says, Docker run -d-p 8080 and 80. So it takes 80, we need an empty port. So 8080 should not be used by any other application. Okay, so what will in this 8080 port? Okay, it will be, there will be a port mapping. So whatever traffic is coming to 8080, it should be redirected to port 80. So now if I am going to the IP address of server 001, if I type here our IP address 192.168.1.120, so that is the IP of the server 001 and colon 8080. Okay, so what it will do, it will first my Chrome request will go to this machine server 001, then it will go to port 8080. Okay, so as soon as it goes here, there is kind of a slider is there, or path is there dedicated. So whatever you will actually end up this one, it is because it is mapped. So ultimately you will feel like, okay, I'm directly landing on this, okay, container, but actually you are routing through this. Okay. So let's do that now. Okay. So now our Docker run, exactly similar output will be there. Something maybe the IP will be different because these IPs are these all IPs are given dynamically, not in our control. So let's do the Docker inspect. Okay. So here we can, oh sorry, Docker PS. What is the ID? Docker inspect B4D, because the IDs will keep on changing. So this is the IP. Okay. Now from outside we cannot connect, but let's connect to this server IP now. So instead of this one, okay, so it works fine. Okay, so this is where the port mapping is there. Okay, so very important concept in actual real world, day to day we have to do like that, because every time the developer team or something, they will give a .NET app or something container. So we have to ensure the port mapping is there. Otherwise, you cannot reach it from outside. Okay, nobody can connect it. Well, only through this way we can connect to the container, running container from outside. Okay. Otherwise, you can only connect from the host where the container is running. Okay. So this is our port mapping. Next, one more concept last time we saw is data return, like persistence, because containers are you cannot retain the data in that. Okay, so once the container is restarted or stopped and all, your complete whatever is there in the container is gone. Okay,
Yeah.
but in some cases we may need to retain the data. So for example, where we would need it to retain the data, because this is a web server, I may not need it, because web server will have maybe fixed static files, there are no changes and all. Okay, but consider if your container is a database, okay, MySQL database or something. Okay, so in that case, your that container is a database, like somebody will write the data and all, right, in that. So you don't want to lose those data once the container is restarted,
Yeah.
correct? So for those cases, yeah, we can do a volume mapping similar to the port mapping. There is volume mapping as well. So volume mapping, what it does, from the host machine, it will take some space, some file system, some folder, and map it to the inside the volume. Okay, so that our changes are stored not in the container but actually in the host machine. Okay,
Mm.
and host machine is anyway your it is persistent. Okay, host machine is backed by a disk. Okay. So let's first start the VM, and we will do that volume mapping as well. Let's start the httpd daemon again. Oh, okay. So I have a doc. I think it's already running. Docker ts. Yeah. So yeah. So let's log in inside the VM and see where our. So what lab we will do now is that we will do a data. We will change the web page. Okay, and ensure that whenever we are restarting the container and all, the same page should come. So
Yeah.
currently it is showing it works.
Mm.
We will amend something just to prove that okay, it's our provided web page, and
Mm.
we ensure that whenever we are restarting the VM, same change page should come. Okay, so how
Okay.
to do that? So step one, we have to know where which path to map. Okay,
Mm.
because for data retention, for retaining the or giving the persistent, you need to know which folder to map. Okay, because the Docker, inside the Docker, how it looks like is, so it also follows the kind of a Linux kind of layout. So it starts with a forward slash. Okay, then maybe something temp is there. Okay, something slash var, so like that. So these are kind of you can think it as a folder in terms of Windows, but in Linux these are called file systems. Okay,
Mm.
so we need to see which one to mount. We cannot mount the whole thing. We have to mount some path. Okay, some folder in that. So let's see wherever this default file is there, this file, it works. Okay, so this will be there in the web server terms, index.html. Okay, so that file we have to map it, like that folder we have to map it. So let's check what is the path. And to log into inside the VM, docker exec -it. Okay, give the VM name, and then whatever you can give in access some command Linux. So now we are inside that VM. Okay, so if I do a host name, it is not showing as server 001, but
Mm.
it is
Mm.
showing as the ID of the container. Okay, so I'm logged in inside the container as a VM. So think it like I'm connected to that kind of a VM. Okay, now if I do ls, it is here. Structure. So this structure slash dev and all these are there. So our file is stored inside the htdocs. Okay, so if we do cd htdocs, index dot, if I do a pwd, it will tell me here user local apache to htdocs. Okay, so pwd command will just tell you print working directory wherever you are there. This command is same for Windows and Linux. So we need to map this folder with some folder from server 001. Got it, right?
Yeah.
So in this currently, in this one, this is written, it works. Okay, so we can see this page, it works. Okay,
Yeah.
now we will change it. So we need to map this folder actually, because once we want to retain this, we have to ensure that this path is mapped with some folder inside the some volume inside our host machine. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's note that path somewhere. Okay, this path we need to map.
Hmm.
And yeah, let's exit out of it. Let's stop that container, and again we will start the container by mapping this. Okay,
Okay.
and then we will do the change and restart and all. We cannot run again a container in the same port, because you can bind only one port or any one process in one port. Okay, so you cannot have multiple uh, containers running on the same port.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this one. Now I will add one more, like volume. Okay, let me name the volume as htdocs, and inside this, so this is the outside my host machine volume, and the inside one is this one. Okay, so Docker run -d will run in daemon mode in background. -p port mapping, we got that. -v. Now this is from the host. Okay, we are not bothered about which path and all that, because it will take care, because Docker daemon is there. It will ensure there is a volume created. Okay, in the host machine by this name. So whatever things we are doing, it will, all the changes will be stored inside this
Hmm.
volume. Okay, and this is the path we need to map. So earlier this was not persistent. Now it will be whatever you write here,
Oh.
it will be going to this volume actually, which is mapped to the server 001. Okay, on the
Okay.
host machine. Okay, and then the this one. So key terms from the intro point of view. So what we are doing, port mapping. So if anyone asks like how you can ensure, how you can see the ports and all, how you can expose your application by port mapping. Okay, so
Hmm.
port mapping, how we do, -p host machine port and colon container port. That's it. Similarly, exactly -v volume mapping. To retain or persist the data, we do volume mapping. Okay, so these
Hmm.
words are keywords. Okay. So अभी इसको चलाते हैं. So now container is started. Docker ps we will do. We will. So last time output you see it was like this earlier
Yeah.
when we did not do the volume mapping. Now we will again compare with the once we have got that. Okay. And one more thing is there, instead of like logging inside the VM, maybe you want to run some command. Okay, so I just need to run this command, that's it. So I can do in this way as well. Docker exec -it, give the ID of the container and the command which you want to execute. So
Yeah.
it will just give the command and exit out. So you are still on the server, you are not logged inside the VM. Okay, so where is our, yeah, so overlay, yeah. There is not much. Where is our volume? 9.3. Okay. So it would have mapped this slash because it is inside the user local Apache 2. So it would have come like that. Let's see. Let's anyway go inside the VM and check inside the container and and check that and change that and see if it's persisting or not. Right. We are inside that. Now we will go in the htdocs folder, index.html. Okay. So right now the index.html is having it. It works. Yeah, it is there. Now let's change it. Echo. So how we are changing it, because we don't have a writer. Yeah, it works. Something I updated. Okay. Okay. That's not what I doc. This is not part of Docker, this one, but we are just trying to modify the index.html file. Okay. So
Okay.
there is something modified is there now. So let's refresh it. Okay, so modify. So this is coming. So let's exit out of it. Okay, and Docker PS. Okay, Docker stop. Okay, and now again, same thing we will do. And we'll go inside the VM. Docker exec -it this and bin/sh cat htdocs/ index.html. Okay, so it's still there, we can see. Okay, our modified line is still there. So now also if we restart, we will get that one. Okay, so so in this way we can keep the volume mapping, but we have to ensure we are passing the same parameters like during the start or restart of the VM. Okay, whenever you're starting again, you have to ensure you have to start the exactly same command line. Okay, because all your data is inside this volume, htdocs volume. Okay, so these are the primary main two concepts for the volume mapping and port mapping. Yeah, so docker ps हाइफन नहीं देख लिया, docker stop. हाँ, docker को इसको remove भी करने के लिए docker ps let's say docker stop कर दिया, stop the container. And okay, so ps hyphen a pipe head will show me the first 10 lines. So this is the 9612D. So this is one. So this is exited a 5 minutes ago. Okay, so it is still consuming some space, this container. So what I will do, I can remove it. So docker rm this. Okay, so it is removed now in the docker ps1. That won't come. Okay, this line is gone. So this command is to delete a container. The container has to be stopped. Okay, while deleting. And images वैसे हो गया. Same way images को remove करने के लिए docker images pipehead. Okay, docker images pipe tail last के कुछ image देखने का. So anything you want to remove, you have to use that docker rmi. Okay, docker rmi, the image name, it will remove that image. Okay, and we have to ensure that no container is running with the image. Okay, that time, otherwise it will give the error. Okay, and docker pull, what it does, like yeah, container. So when we are doing docker run, okay, it is doing two steps. So when we are doing docker run, what it does, first it tries to find the image locally. Okay, so in our case, docker ps, where is the okay. So what it does, it tries to find the image locally first, and when it is not there, it will try to go to the main Docker hub. Okay, so in this case, immediately it gave. So that means it found the image locally. Okay, HTTPD image. So let's do that. Let's see if the image is there or not. Docker images. And now Docker images will give me hundreds of lines. Okay, I'm interested in very specific string. So in Linux, how to search a string is from the output. So whatever output comes from Docker images, I'm interested in one string called HTTPD. Okay, so it will show me that these are the words it found. These are the string matched in the output. So here we see our images is already there in on the local machine. Okay, in the local registry, it's there. So in our this one, so how it works is whenever we are running a container, when we say docker run HTTPD or any container name, first it tries to look in the local container registry in the same host. Okay, so in the same host, whatever container registry is there, it tries to look there. If the image is not there, it will go to the Docker Hub and pull it and then run it. Okay, but if we want to only pull the image, that's it, from the Docker Hub to the Docker host, okay, to the local registry, and but you don't want to run the container, you just want to pull the image, that's it. Okay,
Hmm.
so for that the command will be, okay, first let's do the removing also, httpd. Okay, so here you see, when I try to remove this image, okay, it says unable to remove repository, must force, because container this ID is using its reference. Okay, so this image is being referred by some container, even though the container is not up. Okay, we can see. So yeah, so this is some different container. Okay, and even though we have, let's stop it as well. So okay, Docker PS, nothing is running. Now I will try to remove, but still it says, okay. So some random container, some other container, because we would have created many containers. Okay, so we have to remove all those containers. I will now Docker PS minus A will show all my previous containers. Grep minus I HTTPD. I'm interested in. So you can see there are so many containers are there. Okay, which are using that image. Okay, 4 days, 25 minutes ago, and all we test. So unless all these are cleaned up, then only you can remove the image. Okay, so that is the neat way, clean way of deleting an image.
Yeah.
Okay, because this image containers, everything is occupying some space, so that's why. Okay, to a cleanup, proper cleanup, you have to ensure all these kind of. So to delete a container, what command you will use? Docker rm. Okay, Docker rm and the ID. And to delete an image, what we will do? Docker rm I. Okay, so we have to clean up all the HTTP or everything, then we can clean up our this image. We can even do the forceful also. Here it says unable to remove this, must force. Okay,
Hmm.
so if you want to do it in a force, what it will do, it will keep all these hanging kind of thing. Okay,
Hmm.
so the containers won't get cleaned up. Okay, so forcefully you are pulling the rug underneath
Yeah.
like that. Okay, which is not a very proper way. Like, okay, so that's why this one. Now next, yeah, which container? Docker previous we saw, Docker stop we saw, Docker, yeah. Docker exec also we saw. So Docker exec, the ID of the container and the command whatever you want to run. Okay, and if you want to log in inside that, so it should be Docker exec hyphen it and the bin and asset. So if we want to log in inside the VM, then Docker exec hyphen it is interactive and the ID of the container, and then the command will be bin slash sh. So bin slash sh is kind of the shell. Okay, this black window we see, this shell. Okay, that command. So this way we can connect, we can maintain a session to the container.
Yeah.
Okay, and run a Docker in detached mode. So we already saw minus D. It will run in background. Okay, it will just return a ID, and yeah, this is not much used. So if you want to attach it back, like in your console, in your, so this is to again reattach it back. Okay, not useful, or no need to remember. I never used it. This one. Okay. Then Docker RMI we saw image to remove a image. Okay. And next is this one. So Docker run, when we say HTTPD, okay, it means Docker run HTTPD and colon some tag is there. Okay, if we don't mention the tag, it takes by default colon latest. Okay, we
Hmm.
don't have to write that explicitly. So when we just say, for example, here Docker run CentOS, if we say, so what it will do, it will take CentOS latest. Okay, but in this command, what we are doing, it is CentOS, it is taking CentOS 8. Okay, because CentOS is again an operating system. Many versions are there. CentOS 7, 8, like that. Okay, so here it is asking for a very specific version. Okay, so these are called tags. Okay, whatever
Hmm.
this, the first part of this is the image and colon and whatever is there, that is called tags. So that's to identify that specific version of that image. Okay, so for example, our you're creating an you're running a container from HTTPD, but maybe you want the older version of HTTPD. Okay, like maybe it's some 2.2.4, something like that. So how we will do, Docker run HTTPD colon. If we don't write anything, if we just say Docker run HTTPD, it will take the very latest one. But if you say Docker run HTTPD colon specific something version, you get the that specific version. And how to find out what all versions are there? Again, that is from the hub.docker.com. So for example, we are interested in HTTPD. Okay. So here HTTPD, we go to tags. Okay. So here we will find out. So tag, this is latest. Okay. Post 6 days ago. Okay. So these are all different. So this is some 2.4.59. Okay. Different versions are there. And against that command will be there. So we don't have to write explicit, but yeah, if you can write it as well. And whichever you are doing, so it will take this software. Okay, so if you use this command in, okay, so we can find all these versions there. And here we can maybe take this one. So here older versions are there. Here you can see 6 years ago. So 2.2, maybe you want to install up HTTPD 2.2. So how we will do, Docker pull HTTPD 2.2 or Docker run HTTPD 2.2. Pull will just pull the image from this Docker Hub to your local machine, to your local repository.
Hmm.
Okay. So in this way, you can get the older versions also. Okay. So these all versions and everything, how to differentiate that image is through these. These are called tags. Got it right? Image
Yeah.
tags. Okay. So that will be a very common thing in day to day for the Docker side. Whatever you are doing, tags and all, we have to ensure whenever you are. So how it works is, whenever the developer is pushing something to the through their code, and as a DevOps engineer, you have containerized that application. So then what you will do is you will update the version of
Yeah,
your.
these are version updates basically.
Yes, yeah, version update. So any changes are there, so it will give some new thing, because then it will refer whatever changes are there, that will be tied to that version only. Okay,
Hmm.
so you can still go to the older version by using the older reference.
Hmm.
Okay, because everything is there in the Docker only, and Docker doesn't take a copy. So for example, 2.2 and 2.3. Okay, so total, let's say in Docker 2.2, assume there are 10 files are there, and in 2.3, uh, 13 files are there. Okay,
Hmm.
so it will be the same image. Okay, image name will be same like that, Docker HTTPD, but in your machine, when you pull both the images, okay, so you won't see a duplication of space. So if this is maybe here it is showing some 70 MB, let's say, and the 2.3 also 70 MB. So it doesn't mean that it will be 140 MB. Okay, so
Hmm.
it will ensure that the common things are kept, you is there, and only the delta is added, like when the new version is there. So in your machine, actual space will be 70 plus whatever is the difference of the new files. That's it. Okay.
Right.
So it stores in a very efficient way.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Only the changes will be there. So those are called the tags of it. Port mapping we already saw. Docker
Hmm.
volume we already did mounted. Okay. Okay. So Docker container data. by itself is ephemeral. Ephemeral means temporary. Okay, it doesn't persist across reboots and all, stop and start. The data does
Hmm.
not persist when you stop a container. The data also goes away. So we want to persist. We need to map it. Okay, this
Hmm.
way.
Hmm.
And these are the next commands. Docker logs. Any container you want to see the logs. So for example, let's say Docker ps minus httpd. Now I want to see the logs for this. Okay, so what I will do, Docker logs, give the ID. Okay. So even though it is created some 9 months ago and all, but still I can see. So these were the logs when the container started or finished and all. The entire thing is there in the logs. Okay, so these are the entire things. So how to see? This will be useful in the troubleshooting and stuff.
Yeah.
Docker logs. So hopefully you are getting some commands, right? Docker logs, pull and all, because these will be day-to-day things you have to work on those. So till now, maybe we have discussed 10 or 12, I think, like that. Okay,
Hmm.
not many. Okay. Now, next step is how to make our own images. So currently, till now, what we have done, we used the image which was already there in the marketplace.
Yes.
Got it. So now how to customize our image. Okay. So let's say we want to make our own image which displays this thing. Okay, it works modified. So every time whenever we start the image, like HTTPD or our own custom image, it should this website should automatically come. Okay, we shouldn't have to go log in inside the VM and change and all that stuff. Okay, so how we will do is that, so think in terms of pizza. So you want to make your own pizza now. Okay, so what we will do, we will take that base image. Okay, whatever is there. So base image, whatever is there, we will take that, and on top of that, we will write some commands or something, whatever to modify. So here to modify, we know that we have to modify a file, right, in this location. So in this location, there was a file which we need to modify, and the file name is index.html. Okay. Or so what we can do is we can create a new file like whatever we want, index.html, and once this container starts, it should copy that file inside this path.
Hmm.
Okay, so that is our customization. So every Docker file command, like every customization, whatever you want to do, it starts with some base image. Okay, so you want some, like if you are going to make some topping and all in pizza, so you have to take a base. So similarly here also we are taking a base. So the first instruction is called from. There are certain command or instructions are there. So these are very specific instructions on only for the Docker. Okay, if you want to create a custom Docker and all your own, you have to follow some certain syntax and all that. So for
Yeah.
that, there are some not many, but Docker file instructions. Yeah, Docker file reference. So here it has all these. Okay, so these are all together. All those are there. Okay, so supports the following instruction. So using these specific syntaxes, we create our own custom image. Okay,
Hmm.
so the first one is from. Okay, so
Hmm.
from, it says instruction initializes a new build image and sets the base image. Okay, so what we will do, we will take the base image as HTTPD. Okay, so from HTTPD. Okay, will write here from HTTPD. So that means a base image is ready, which is already HTTPD. And next, we will copy the file index.html to this path. Okay, so
Hmm.
next to copy the file, again, we will go back. Okay, so here our copy command is there.
Hmm.
So copy instruction copies new files or directory from source and adds them to the file system of the container. Okay, so
Hmm.
from your host machine, it will copy. So it will assume that your file is there in the same place where this file will go. Okay, and whatever you are writing this instruction, this will
Hmm.
go in a very special file called Docker file. Okay,
Hmm.
just a flat file, text file only. So
Hmm.
next we are doing copy. let's say we will create index.html soon, and we want to copy it here. Okay, that's it. Yeah, slash. Okay, index. So only 2 lines at this point. That's it. So what we are doing, we are taking this container. Sorry, taking this image, and on top of that, we are saying once this image is ready, copy this local index.html on available on the host machine to this path. That's it. Okay, and so and this will go in a very special file called Docker file. Okay,
Hmm.
so let's make my custom Docker. Anything you can create any folder, just so where nothing is there. I will create a file, and this D is capital Docker file. That's it. Okay, one word. So Docker file, and in this now I have added only 2 lines. So first the base, from which base I'm going to do, and then copy index.html. That's it. Okay. And in the same folder now I have to create an index.html as well. Okay, index.html. What was there on that? Okay, let me write it. Oh, I can get it from here. It shows HTML header. Okay, I think it's used to show the source.
Yeah, there's a command from the keyboard. It shows the source. I
Source, right?
forgot it.
Okay, okay, no worries. HTML. Okay, then add, then h1 header. Then this is my custom file, custom app.
Yeah, if you press Control U.
Oh, okay. I'll give it. Okay, anyway, it's done. Add slash ml. Okay, so this is our one-liner. Our app is ready. Okay, so index.html.
Hmm.
Okay, now let's build it. Our index.html is ready in the same folder. Okay, and our Docker file is also there. Okay, now let's create our own image. Okay, now what we will do, Docker build is the command to build the image. Okay, where is that? Yeah. From Docker build is the main command where we are building that, and to name what the name will be for your image. Okay, yeah, here. Okay, so Docker build is the command to build the image, and dot means where is the Docker file located. Okay, in
Hmm.
the same folder. Dot means in the same folder. Okay, this is optional. You don't have to give -f Docker file because it looks for this file only. Okay, so in case your file is something different, you have to give -f, but it is optional. And what will be the name of the image is the T is for tag. Okay, so let's do. So Docker build dot I am saying means my Docker file is there in this same folder. Okay, and then uh, I will give some name to the image. Okay, because we have to give the name. Like for example, we pulled the image, right? It was named HTTPD. So let's give this name my demo HTTPD. My demo HTTPD. Okay, you can give some tag also, but if you don't give, it will take as colon latest. Okay, but let's give maybe some version. Okay, 1.0. So this is our command. Mainly you have to remember this one, Docker build and all, maybe in some intro and all, how to build the image, which command Docker build. Okay,
Hmm.
and it looks for a file called Docker file. in the same folder we are doing. If we are in some different folder, you have to give the path to that. Minus t is the name of the image, okay, or tag. Okay, so this is the first part of it, and this a colon, whatever is the uh, so this is the name of the image and this is the tag. So let's run it. So it is now building the image. So it has built the image. Okay. Now let's see in our, so here it is saying naming to docker.io library my demo httpd 1.0. Let's see docker images pipe grep minus I, because the output is so big. Let's see that. Okay, it's there, or maybe I can do pipe head as well. Okay, so here it is showing my image is ready. Okay, so now as now we have our image in place. So now let's run the container. So what is the command to run the container? Tell me now what can, how I can run a container from the
Docker
image.
run.
Yeah, very good. So Docker run,
Docker run.
Docker run, and then image name. That's it. Okay, so
Yeah.
what you're, and we want to run it in the background. Okay, so what I will do, minus
D
D, I'll put
minus
it
D.
in the background, and we have to give this. Okay,
Hmm.
so if I just give this, it won't work because it will look for the latest. Okay, so if I am giving like this, so what it will assume that there is some latest, but there is none because we named it colon 1.0. So here this is the tag. Okay, so we have to give colon 1.0 like that. Okay, so we run that. Okay, now it came. Okay, so it is running. We forgot to do the mapping. Docker. No, we forgot to do the port mapping.
Port mapping.
So Docker run -d minus p 8080 of the host machine inside container 80. Okay.
Hmm.
So Docker ps our container is running. So let's see and let's check if our it has really taken our modified file or not. Okay, so yeah, it has definitely taken this. This is my custom app. Okay, so now we don't have to copy that file, like while running and all, we don't have to map any volume. So here, if you see, there is no volume mapping and all. Okay, because that these all instruction are now baked inside the image itself. Okay, and while starting the container, it is taking care that this file is there. Okay, so the image, like you created the the tape, so you have embedded this song in it. Okay, so it is there. So whenever you are running this image, this file will come in that by default. Okay,
Hmm.
because it is, so that doesn't matter that this file is there or not. You can remove this file also. Still, it like there is no connection with the host machine. It is now embedded in the image itself.
Hmm.
So if we do so this file content and everything is now gone inside the image itself. Okay.
Hmm.
So now if I do docker run, so it doesn't matter if the our local file is there or not in the host because that change is now gone inside the image itself.
Hmm.
Okay. So this is the basic step to create our custom image. Okay, so what if we have used the just the httpd, it would have given a different page, but now as we need some customization, it came like that. We created our own image. Okay,
Hmm.
so this image you can push it to docker hub as well, or to your private acr or ecr, whatever is there, we can push it as well. Okay, so in the next class we will see that, and we will use some few more commands. Okay, so these are the, but these are all the commands. Okay, for that. Uh, so we used copy. Okay,
Yeah.
we used from. Okay, so we next tomorrow maybe we'll connect and we'll see the run command. This is very commonly used. Okay,
Hmm.
user command is very commonly used, and label. Okay, expose. Okay, so uh, entry point, cmd. These are commonly used commands are there. Okay, not everything may not be there. Maintainer also, like who maintains the, who is the author of the image, just
Hmm.
for, yeah. So whoever is checking at least they will come to know who is the maintainer. So these are all together all the commands. We may not be doing all the one, but yeah, the frequently common ones we will check. Okay, so that will give you the idea how to create your own custom image. Okay, to do that, because this will be common in day-to-day actual DevOps work. You have to make your own custom image. Okay, so that's all for today. Any queries till now?
No, I just need to practice it. So
Yeah.
I think before we jump on to after tomorrow's class, maybe when
Mhm.
before we jump on to Kubernetes,
Mhm.
I think we can take
No
a
practice.
class.
Take 1 or 2 days full practice only, because all Docker, if you're comfortable, then it will be much easier there,
Yeah,
because the Docker is a low level. In the interval they would expect that you know that, because there is more day-to-day work is there.
right, right,
So a lot of questions may not come in the Docker. Okay, but because Kubernetes is orchestrating the Docker, like it is handling and it is giving kind of failover and all that capabilities it is giving, but actual every your application is residing in the images only. Okay, so
right.
this is something in the day-to-day job you have to be aware. Okay, for
Hmm.
the Kubernetes also. Okay,
ठीक है, ओके,
so
कितना बचा है अभी ये डॉकर? हाउ मेनी स्लाइड्स मोर?
डॉकर का और ज्यादा नहीं है, डॉकर का और ज्यादा नहीं है इतना, बट वी ओनली a real world we will put a image and we'll put in the ECR. Okay,
या लाइक अ
so
प्रोजेक्ट विल डू दिस.
project kind of thing, yeah. So at the end we will do that. So custom, maybe one class is enough. Okay. Whatever extra is there, so we'll practice some more commands, and we'll make a small project for the Docker real time. We'll download a proper application. Okay,
या.
from, like, assuming the developer would have given some like fancy page, some fancy application, and we will put that in a repository, so you will revise your repository as well, repo part as well,
Mhm.
and from there we will pull, do that build part and all. Docker.
Right.
Okay, so that will be a kind of a full-fledged real world scenario.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's all for today. We'll connect tomorrow.
ठीक है, कल अब दिन में इफ यू आर फ्री
हाँ
जस्ट
दिन
लेट मी.
में, श्योर श्योर मैं बता
है ना,
देता हूँ।
क्योंकि अब आई एम फ्री टोटली, तो आई
हम्म
थिंक 2-3 हफ्ते अगर मैं बहुत ही ज्यादा रिगरस लगाऊं और प्रैक्टिस करूं तो इट शुड बी फाइन.
हम्म हम्म
व्हाट डू यू थिंक?
या डेफिनेटली हो जाएगा उसमें।